specialize in making sure the ball doesn't get anywhere near the goal. Not much technical skill is needed for this central defender-centric role. Central defender. A classic central defender is required to help maintain possession and get the ball to the midfield, while, of course, serving as one of the last few lines of defense and not paying much attention to goal scoring. Ball-playing defender. These are defenders who tend to play a more involved role in the offensive flow of things. Their thing is counter-attacking by intercepting the ball from an opponent and setting up a pass. They aren't afraid to move out of the defensive zone, and compared to other defenders, their creativity stats are considerably higher. As such, these are defenders who are fine expanding on their roles by trying to score goals. Their traditionally poor mental attributes, however, make them perfect candidates to do the opposite and score an own goal, or make any other inexcusable mistake. Fullback. Fullbacks can be left or right defenders, and are less attack-oriented than wingbacks, pretty much like American football fullbacks, who block for their running backs, hardly show up on the stat sheet. Likewise, association football fullbacks are often support players when it comes to the attack, but since they are defenders, that comes before any attack support, and they don't stray away too far from the players they're covering. Wingback. These are the more offensive-minded left or right defenders, as they tend to push the ball and serve as crossing options. A good WB needs to have above-average stamina, dribbling, crossing, and decision-making, with the latter being important as WBs can often leave their man open en route to costly defensive miscues. Inverted wingback. This is sort of a new role, and while they have the same defensive responsibilities as regular wingbacks do, the inverted part of their name comes from the fact that they try to drift inside to create space for teammates, instead of staying on the wide left or wide right side. Midfielders. Ball-winning midfielder. These are typically sturdier, more physical players who get their name by aggressively contesting possessions and trying to win the ball back from an opposing player. Tackling is an important stat for these players. There are times when they may find a good deal of open space and consequently go for a long shot, even if it's hardly likely to enter the opponent's goal. Deep-lying playmaker. While BWMs largely get by on brawn, deep-lying playmakers are the opposite, as they have a more cerebral game plan when trying to gain possession of the ball. They use their smarts to intercept the ball. And unlike BWMs, they don't need to be good tacklers. They should, however, be good and creative passers, and accurate enough to allow their team to retain possession after it's won back. Defensive winger. Defensive wingers are used mainly to counter opposing wingbacks. Aside from playing defense similar to how WBs do, albeit at a higher point in the pitch, they can also move forward and try to get themselves involved in the attack. Such a demanding role requires high stamina, but their unique blend of responsibilities would require them to be strong in crossing and tackling. Defensive midfielder. Defensive midfielders are tasked to support the defense by closing down any opposing attackers, thereby providing support to more offensive-minded midfielders while you've got possession. Anchor. Anchors are positioned in the space between the defense and the midfield, and their responsibilities include intercepting the ball, winning possession, and making short passes to their more offensively gifted teammates. Central midfielder. A classic central midfielder uses his vision and passing ability to provide a go-between for the defense and the attack. Normally, his domain is in the middle third of the pitch, and his job is, as mentioned, to help a team transition from defense to offense. It's not a very glamorous role for a midfielder, but it's an important one nonetheless. Box-to-box midfielder. This basically means end-to-end, and if you consider how long a football field is, you should be aware that these guys need to have top-notch stamina. They're always on the go as they scatter across the field, doing a little bit of everything from supporting the defense to supporting the attack. While these players are often jacks of all trades except for the high stamina part, They have arguably the hardest role to play on the field. Wide midfielder. These midfielders are the ones designated as ML or Mr., and with the exception of their place on the pitch, they play similarly to their MC counterparts. If they find some space inside, they can drift inside, and while they can stay wide and benefit your short passing game, they can't stretch that wide to allow for more creative and fancy attacking maneuvers. Winger. Now this is where you can go far wide in the left side or the right side. As you may expect, wingers go full blast to the goal on most occasions when they receive it, and would therefore require good speed stats. Their speed makes them ideal counter-attackers, but you should also bear in mind that they aren't tasked to play defense as much as other midfield roles. That could mean trouble for your DL and/or doctor if you've got wingers on the opposing team. Attacking midfielder. Attacking midfielders are positioned close to your forwards, higher up than standard midfielders, and that means they'll need to have some strong technical ability, as well as a solid mental game. They can get their names on the score sheet while playing mostly in the final third, but can mainly create opportunities for their other teammates before the opponent's defense blocks out whatever space they have to create. Advanced playmaker. These guys are as glamorous as central midfielders and box-to-box midfielders aren't, as they use their creativity and passing ability to fire off clinical passes to the forwards, or score unbelievable highlight reel quality goals as they position themselves in the holes between the opponent's midfield and defense. But it's very difficult to get the most out of these players, because if they don't have any other outlet to split the defense, that could be bad news for your team. Shadow striker. These are technically not strikers, but rather midfielders who move the ball forward and try to get good goal-scoring position as the ball makes it to the final third. As these are also midfielders, shadow strikers close down opposing defenders when the ball is not in their possession. Forwards. Defensive forward. While this position may sound like an oxymoron, it's actually quite a helpful role, as their job is to regain ball possession high up, forcing opponents to make mistakes and help more gifted attackers score goals. They're more comfortable pressing the opponent's defense and creating plays, rather than scoring the goals themselves. Poacher. The job of a poacher is to position himself in and around the box, waiting for rebounds, crosses, and deflections, and taking advantage when they come along by scoring easy goals into the back of the net. Creativity is not a premium stat here, as they mainly make their own simple moves off the aforementioned opportunities. Inside forward. Inside forwards can run with the ball from the right, left, or center to support or get past the other forwards, or can also shoot if the right opportunity arises. Pretty much, they're all about finding that right amount of space to make a good shot. On the other hand, accuracy isn't always their forte, but when they do score, it's usually at an important time against teams with tougher defenses. Deep-lying forward. Deep-lying forwards don't do much scoring as most other forward roles do, as they just sit back when the ball is not in their position, and wait until a central attacking midfielder relays the ball to them. They merely move with the team instead of moving ahead of the team for a better scoring opportunity. You'll want someone playing this role if you're using a counter-attacking tactic and want to move the ball around at a faster pace. Trequartista. One of the more unorthodox roles in the forward spot, trequartistas excel in the areas of passing and movement, using those abilities to find space and create link-up plays between attacking midfielders and strikers. They can also be spotted in the wings if there's enough space to go wide. Defensive attributes are obviously optional for these guys. Advanced forward. Advanced forwards are your go-to guys for the most part, your best scoring attackers who play off the back of the opposing team's defenders. They have good pace, and those with excellent pace could even have some one-on-one opportunities against the keeper. Having that electric movement helps them stymie weaker defenders, while taking opponents out of their traditional spots and making room for other offensive options. Complete forward, you can't get more complete than a complete forward, pretty much. These are your do-it-all forwards that are comfortable in most, if not all of the other roles, meaning they can shift from one role to another depending on the opponent. As such, they are jacks of all trades stats, attribute-wise, but are especially good as decision-makers. Like the box-to-box midfielders, complete forwards have the most demanding roles in their position, as it's all about good decisions and a good mix of skills.
Fire when the strobe hits you.
That's it, friend?